honoring our own voices.
Al mismo tiempo darnos honor a nuestras propias voces.
Because what does the landless people's movement look like?
¿Cómo se ve el movimiento de la gente sin tierra?
It looks like our brothers and sisters in Chiapas,
Se ve como nuestros hermanos y hermanas en Chiapas,
our brothers and sisters in the Shack Dwellers Union in South Africa,
nuestros hermanos y hermanas en the Shack Dwellers,
the landless people's movement in Brazil,
el movimiento de gente sin tierra en Brasil,
and all of us.
y todos nosotros.
This is Community Newsroom.
Nuestra Sala Comunitaria,
We're actually making media.
que estamos haciendo noticias.
So the first thing we started is who and how do we make media?
Primero es cómo y quién hace medios.
And we start by actually seizing a media space
So vamos a agarrar este espacio de noticias
and by telling our own story.
y contar nuestra propia historia.
So we're going to ask y'all, because y'all are media makers,
So les vamos a preguntar a cada uno de ustedes.
So basically, Poor Magazine is indigenous people led, poor people led, which was started right here by my sister and her mother when they were both living houseless here in America, as many of us have experienced, or do we know people that have experienced that. What we do at Poor Magazine is basically we do media. We think that media is a powerful tool that right now is being used against the oppressed people, especially corporate media, where you have corporate media always talking about our people, but never giving the tools for our people to speak for themselves. And so we do journalism. We also have a web page where we publish articles.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Teresa Imperial from Veterans Equity Center of BILL SORRO Housing Program. I've seen you in Manila Town events. So I'm a case manager for the BILL SORRO Housing Program. So what we do is pretty much we help folks primarily from South of Market residents or workers, but we do not turn anyone away, and pretty much inform them about upcoming housing developments or really just waiting lists and educate them about the requirements. We want to make sure that our applicants informed and not really.
I'm Tony Robles. I'm co-editor here at Poor Magazine. Good to see you all. Want to honor Bill Sorrro. He is one of our ancestors that lead this organization. We are informed by his thought, his work, his legacy is part of what guides our organization here at Poor Magazine. So he's a guiding ancestor to us.
I just wanted to thank, Tony for mentioning about this group, and he just mentioned it today, but we were, very excited to be here. One of the things that, I can say very briefly is that I am truly honored to have lived the first 10 years of my community work knowing Al Robles, Bill Sorrro, and another, like inspiration, Tita Bullet Marasigan. They have been an inspiration to a lot of us, and sometimes I feel sad that the younger generation do not have, what I have, being able to hang out with Al Robles and actually like know all of the, the background of why, Uncle Bill has been in the movement and why, all of the things that we have been doing. There's just like so much history there. But fast forward, as you all know, the South of Market, when you go to the South of Market, it's pretty much like the most overly developed, area in the city. You have cranes, you have fabulous hotels, you have all of these condos that are being built. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of working class families who've been there in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s who have been driven out of the area because they can no longer afford to live in the South of Market. And when we have the likes of Intercontinental, the likes of, organizations like, it is the same, the dot-coms in the 80s, it busted, and it is booming again, which is bigger and more difficult to fight. You have Twitter, you have Zynga, you have Adobe, you have actually, a Twitter moving to that area on Market Street, Google, all of them are like big corporations, and the ball game is, being very difficult. And the struggle of the working class families in the south of Market is just wait, how can you fight all of these developments when, just like what you said, you have to work, 2-3 jobs, you have to put food on the table, and just to find out at the end of the day that your rent is high and you can no longer afford to live in the home, where you have been living for decades and decades, and your family. There's just a lot of Filipinos in the south of Market in the 70s who have actually been driven out of the community. And what's there? When they were building the lofts, we have all of, the live work. And then sometimes when we finally had a park, the Vicky Manalo Draves, they wanted it to be for their dogs. It became a dog park and not for people. Like they wanted to put their dogs there and be like where the dogs can run around. And I said for so many years we didn't have a park. So that is the flavor of what's going on in the south of Market. So it's just and if you fast forward to what we're doing, 4 years ago we have dedicated our housing program to the work of Uncle Bill, and with that we were able to do residence assistance for a year with no funding, because we just wanted to make sure that Uncle Bill said honey, we need to help out our brothers and sisters. And with that, you really need to help out your brothers and sisters. So we did that, and finally we were able to be given some money from what they call the stabilization fund. And the history of that is, it is $8 million that is a mitigation from the Rincon, that ugly building that's sticking like a sore thumb when you go down, the Bay Bridge. It's about $8 million. And it's supposed to be a fund to stabilize the neighborhood. So what it means is you're going to make sure that you have programs to ensure that whatever housing that they have there, that they're able to defend, when there's eviction that's happening. The purpose of the fund is to make sure that, the community is able to have a fair, to level the playing field with all of this new thing that's called BMR. There's a 300 unit apartment that they're building. They have 49 for below market rate, and there are thousands of people. And not a lot of our families understand what BMR is, so they need a lot of support in doing that. So Teresa can talk about what Bishop is all about, but the funding genocide. We have been getting some funds from the South of Market Stabilization Fund, and once the funds run out, and not a lot of foundations can give support for the work that we do, we go to them, and sometimes they say, well, our budget is tight. We can't, provide funding for this. We don't want to set a precedent for giving, money, and we want innovative programs. When you listen to the word innovative, for me, and you're working with a homeless family, just extending your hand and walking, a person or a family through an application process. That's how innovative as it gets. You're saying, innovative, if somebody actually sat down and listened to your story, and
Love is an innovative.
Innovative. So I think that's my 5 minutes.